Let's jump right in. Welcome to the Explainer. So if you're managing enterprise-scale IT operations, you already know the deal. Keeping tabs on scheduled processes can quickly become, well, a massive headache-inducing chore, right? Today, we're looking at a genuinely brilliant solution for Oracle Fusion Applications Observability. We're going to explore exactly how you can effortlessly monitor your Enterprise Scheduler Service, or ESS, logs at an absolute massive scale. And we're doing this by leveraging OCI logging analytics alongside a REST API ingestion method. Seriously, if you're tired of kind of flying blind with your scheduled processes, you are in exactly the right place. Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a clear roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to start by actually defining the ESS monitoring challenge, and then we'll evaluate the monitoring options we have. From there, we'll map out the OCI observability architecture, break down a really practical blueprint for implementation, and finally, look at the ultimate payoff, achieving complete process visibility. All right, part one, the ESS monitoring challenge. So just to establish a quick baseline here for everyone, let's talk about the Enterprise Scheduler Service, or ESS. You can really just think of ESS as the central nervous system of Fusion applications. I mean, it's the critical component that's completely responsible for managing and executing scheduled processes across practically every major module you rely on. We're talking enterprise resource management, supply chain management, customer experience, human capital management, the whole shebang. And the sheer scope of what ESS handles, it's massive, literally massive. We are talking about critical, heavy-lifting tasks, things like bulk data imports, widespread record updates, and generating really complex reports. Honestly, these are tasks that are just entirely too time-consuming for any human to oversee manually. They're constantly churning in the background, essentially keeping the enterprise's heartbeat going. But, here is the major agitation for IT professionals trying to manage this at scale. The native scheduled processes work area that's built right into Fusion applications, it's fine for a quick glance, sure, but it severely lacks comprehensive monitoring capabilities. When you are an enterprise running hundreds, maybe thousands of scheduled processes across multiple modules all at once, that native interface just doesn't give you the macro visibility or the historical context you actually need. Honestly, it's like trying to monitor city traffic by looking through a keyhole. Which brings us to section 2. Evaluating the monitoring options to actually fix this. So based on the source material, Fusion Apps basically gives us 3 main options. Option 1 is that native UI we literally just discussed, which, as we know, is super limited. Option 2, building custom BI publisher reports. Now, this does let you run manual SQL queries against the request history tables, which is, better, but it's still highly manual and incredibly reactive. But look at option 3, the Scheduler REST API. Introduced in Update 23B, this is absolutely the winning choice. It gives us a programmatic, RESTful interface for retrieving and managing scheduled jobs, which basically allows us to completely automate our monitoring. It's a total game changer. Moving on to Section 3, the OCI Observability Architecture. And this brilliantly illustrates how we're actually going to build this out. The data flow of our solution is highly sequential. We start over on the left with the Fusion Ops ESS generating the job requests and statuses. That data is then made available through that new Scheduler REST API endpoint. Next, we deploy a management agent on a client host VM. This agent securely authenticates, pulls that data from the API on a set schedule, and then pushes it directly into OCI logging analytics. It's clean, it's secure, and it creates this beautifully automated pipeline straight into a really powerful analytics engine. All right, let's get into the how-to with Section 4, Blueprint for Implementation. Now, the original source documentation outlines a 7-step technical process for this, but to make this a bit easier to digest for this explainer, we've logically grouped those steps into a macro blueprint consisting of 4 clear phases. Phase 1 is prepping your permissions, Phase 2 is configuring your agent and credentials, Phase 3 is mapping the data and importing log sources, and Phase 4 is connecting those entities and visualizing the data. Let's quickly break each of these down. So, Phase 1 is all about access. First off, you need to create a dedicated integration user account within Fusion applications. Pro tip here, definitely don't use a personal admin account for this. You're going to need to assign it specific security roles, most notably the SVC SOA operator role, which is absolutely crucial for API access. And actually, before you even touch any agents, make sure you test this API access via Postman. Construct your GET request using basic auth with your new credentials and verify you get a successful response back. Because frankly, if Postman can't see it, your agent definitely won't be able to either. Moving right along to Phase 2, we configure the management agent itself. You'll SSH into the VM that's hosting your agent, and update the emd.properties file. This enables the REST API log collection. This is also where you're going to set your collection interval. So for example, telling it to grab data every 600 seconds or 10 minutes. Then you need to create a credential file, just a simple JSON file containing your Fusion Apps credentials, and securely register that file with the management agent so it can authenticate totally autonomously. Next up is phase 3, making that data actually meaningful. You'll import a Fusion Apps lookup table into logging analytics. What this does is map internal system codes to human-readable product abbreviations, which is super helpful. You then apply field enrichment so your log source automatically knows to use this lookup table. And finally, you import the pre-built ESS log source configuration zip file provided by Oracle. This essentially teaches OCI logging analytics exactly how to parse and understand that specific ESS data structure. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the specific configuration for phase 4. Before you actually associate your host entity with the log source, you really want to adjust the agent collection properties. Specifically, set the historical data value to P30D. This tells the agent to go back and grab ESS logs for the past 30 days right out of the gate, giving you immediate historical context. You'll also want to set Enable Filter Duplicate Records to True just to keep your data clean. Once all that's done, associate the entity, and finally import the pre-built ESS monitoring dashboard into logging analytics. And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, Achieving Complete Process Visibility. The payoff here is literally transformational for IT operations professionals. You're moving from a reactive, manual check-in process to true automated observability. You now have the historical analysis and trends to actually optimize your scheduling. Instead of waiting around for a user to complain that their report didn't generate, you can set up proactive alerts for process failures. You have automated collection running continuously across multiple Fusion Applications instances, all centralized in one spot. Ultimately, you achieve complete process visibility. This allows you to investigate failures that happened, say, weeks ago, just as easily as the ones happening right now. By leveraging the Scheduler REST API and OCI logging analytics, you are basically taking complete control over your Fusion Ops environments. It's a structured, it's secure, and it's a highly scalable solution. So I'll leave you with this thought to ponder. With complete historical visibility unlocked, what hidden bottlenecks will your ESS logs reveal next? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, enjoy diving into your new crystal clear operational dashboards.